Hello, welcome to How to Play Streets and Avenues. This is a fun domino game for 2 to 4 players. You'll need a set of double 9 for 2 players, and you could have double 12 for 4. So we went ahead with the double 9. Now the first domino is going to get placed by the first player. The second domino must be north and south of it. That will be placed by player 1 at the bottom here. Now this is basically what the game's going to look like. Each domino must be equal value to the domino it's connecting with. If you're doing an avenue, you can play an avenue at any time, but if you're doing a street going east and west, that street can only happen if there are 2 avenue dominoes that's connected to. So you need 2 dominoes north and south before you can play an east and west one. Now both players are going to draw 7 dominoes to start the game. After you play a domino, you'll draw back to 7. If you cannot place a domino legally, you are allowed to pass, and it's optional but not required that you can take any domino of your choice, put it back in the boneyard, and exchange it for another one. We haven't really had the need to do that with a double 9 set, but I imagine if you're playing with a double 12 set, that might happen more often. So I'd recommend for a 2-player game using a double 9. So the first street got played there. That was legal because it had 2 avenues. Now let's talk about some scoring scenarios. Let's say player 1 plays an 8-2 there, and then player 2 plays an 8-8. Well, player 2 would score 1 point, and then we'd have eventually have to have those 2 red dominoes in place to play that blank 2 to score another point. Now let's say that didn't happen. Let's say player 1 on the bottom actually in the future, once those 2 red dominoes get placed down, places that blank 2 there. That blank 2 scores 1 point. But if we eventually play an 8, a double 8 in the middle, that will score 2 points for the player that plays that because 2 blocks have been made. So something to be aware of. The more blocks that you can make with a single domino, the more points you can score on that turn. Not that it happens. Most of the time you're trying to just get blocks. So there's a first score of the game. Player 1 scores on that 2-8, excuse me, that 2-9. So that 2-9 and the 9-3 and the 3-4 and the 4-2 form a block. And that scores 1 point. And the game continues. So you can always play avenues. Your avenues can only be up to 7 dominoes, and there's another point scored by player 2 up on the top. And so avenues can be 7 dominoes. They don't necessarily have to connect. You can have a north end and a south end of an avenue. And that's one of the things, this game really needs a big table or plate on the floor. It's going to take up a lot of surface area. And the biggest thing to remember is to constantly draw back to 7. It's one of the things we kind of struggle with. A lot of domino games, you're not really doing another draw. And so we just had a point scored there by player 2. And so there's another block scored right there with that double 7. And now there's another with that 7-6 got scored. So it's strategic to keep certain dominoes in place and count the dominoes. You know there's a finite number of each suit. The suits go down by each rank. 9 has the most, 8 has 1 less than 9, and of course 7 has 1 less than 8. So if you can count dominoes, if you can keep that in your mind, you'll know what can eventually be scored on. And that's the key to this game, is knowing if you have a blank 6, that, for instance, can be played, but it can't be played because it's already been played. Now we just saw an illegal move. You cannot place a street unless you have 2 avenue blocks, so that would not score, and it would have to be taken off the board. So it's something real keen to keep in mind, is make sure when playing an east and west street that you have 2 avenue blocks. Other than that, that's the game. It was kind of a fun game. It's one that takes some time to set up because it is a double 9 set and you're having to place all them face down and shuffling. And it is a little bit of a lengthy game, but still within under 30 minutes. And if you actually want to play this in public, we haven't tried 4 players yet, but we'll let you know how a double 12 set with 4 players works. And just come visit us on our subreddit, Card Game Meetups. Post your city, post what games you know, and what games that you want to play. And hopefully someday we'll have somebody in your city that wants to play some card games. So join us and subscribe to these videos, and we'll see you next time.